The pit stop is vital to every race team's success. Pull off the track, let your team go to work. Change all 4 tires, fill the fuel cell, and make needed adjustments, all in 8 seconds or less.
Hey, we have a great show for you today. This is the Pits Are Open, presented by Speed Sport, your one-stop shop for all automotive and not just automotive. They cover a lot of racing competition. Great legacy publication, Speed Sport. Also brought to you by Redline Ace, right in Indianapolis. If you need any graphic designs, helmets, cars, transports, hero cards, Redline Ace is the place to go. I'm your host, Will Marotti. With us, our multi-talented engineer extraordinaire, Alex Smith. Hello, Alex. It's going pretty well.
You say multi-talented and I forget to unmute myself.
Yeah, we won't hold that against you. How you doing?
Good, yeah.
So, Formula One, we're just having a little Formula One conversation. We've got McLaren dominating this year, it seems.
And I called it earlier. I think our first show, I said Williams, watch Williams, and
sure enough,
P5 and 9 this
so top
weekend.
10. I mean, that's pretty good. McLaren also, I think, did top 10 in IndyCar at Barber Sunday, which is a pretty big feat, really, to have 3 of your cars in the top 10. But again, the win is elusive for McLaren. Not quite getting it together yet, but they'll get there. But yeah, Formula One doing well.
Oh, I mean, Zach Brown too said they've won races this year they weren't expecting to win, and I think they got a good strategy. They got 2 really good drivers, especially Piastri. There's a little bit of butting heads between the 2 of them, but that's normal on every team, right? So
I mean, he's kind of like, hasn't he taken like the number 1 spot?
Piastri?
I mean, it was always thought to be Lando's for the taking, but he's dropped a little bit. So, wow, that's something. Hey, so great show today. 2 great guests coming on. We have the owner of Brad Hayes Racing and the owner of the Kenyon Midget Series. I'm so thrilled. A good friend, Brad Hayes, will be on. He'll tell us about the series, tell us about how the racing team functions with the series. He's got a great background. He's a racer at heart, and I haven't had a chance to see him for a while, so this will be really exciting to have him on the show. And then at the bottom of the hour, we're going to have 2-time NHRA champion Megan Meyer returning, and she's got some recent competition news for herself. And it's a great segue because Brad works with a lot of young drivers. Megan, of course, besides being a world champion NHR dragster driver, is also a very, very skilled social media marketing person. So got it on both ends, help for the drivers and a great story about some really exciting local pavement and dirt track racing in the midget world. So it's pretty exciting. We're looking forward to it. I want to ask you to do something, though. For those of you on YouTube, we are switching over to a new YouTube channel. And yours truly tried doing it myself. And, of course, I messed everything up because I'm not a technical person at all. So if you're watching now on YouTube, I'm going to ask you to go to our new YouTube channel, which we will be activating next show next week. And it's the same, except that the handle's a little different. The handle on this one is at the Pits Are Open podcast. That's the new YouTube channel. We're going to this channel because we had a sub account. The sub account, the one that you're watching right now on YouTube, is a sub account, and we want to have our own separate page for it. So we had to do a whole new thing. So it's who cares? And then eventually, and this isn't now, but eventually, those of you who are watching on Facebook or Instagram, we're going to be switching exclusively to the YouTube channel. So that's going to come probably in a month or 2. We're not rushing you on that. But if you'd like to sign up now for the YouTube channel, the new YouTube channel that we'll be switching to next week, again, it's the Pits Are Open podcast is the name of the new YouTube channel that we're looking to go to, and that'll be great. Of course, go to our website, thepitsareopen.com. Sign up for our weekly newsletter right there on the website. Website, of course, has information about the show, and the newsletter has information about the show and some good racing news that we get from Speed Sport, which we're so happy to work with Speed Sport. It's May. It's Indy Fever. We had a relatively boring race at Barber in Birmingham. We could talk about it, but it's the hybrid. I mean, I think that's when did IndyCar racing get boring? Last year, Mid Ohio. What changed? The introduction of the hybrid system, and I think that was a political move just to make it seem so. Oh, we're so concerned about green. We have to have a hybrid system. You can criticize me if you want. I don't care. I think that's why they did it. And all it's done is weigh the cars down, change the balance, and lessen the competition. However, having said all of that, our first guest is out there, isn't he? I'm so excited. I've gotten to know Brad over the years. I don't even know how we met, but I guess we're probably through our graphics genius, Ben Porter. But anyway, Brad's got a long history in motorsports. He's a racer at heart, from slot cars all the way through Formula Ford, and then he has his own team, Brad Hayes Racing. And then a few years ago, maybe 3 years ago, he actually bought a series, and it's a classic because it was the Kenyon Midget Series, Mel Kenyon and Merle Kenyon, just legendary folks in IndyCar and not just IndyCar, open wheel in general. And so I'm so excited to welcome for the first time to the program, Brad Hayes. Brad, welcome, sir. Good seeing you. How are you? All right, we're not picking up your audio. Well, we know what to do here. Hang on just a second. We'll be right with you. I know you can hear me. I can't hear you, but we're going to fix it. Let's see. 3, 2.
I got to do the switcheroo. So.
Okay, we're switching a row here.
All right, give us a check again.
Let's try it again. Hey, Brad.
Oh, actually, I'm not getting anything from his side.
Oh, no, we're not getting your audio, Brad. We thought it was us, but let's see.
Well, your cat's working hard in the background.
Yeah,
too.
We're enjoying watching your cat. You can hear us, obviously, right? Yeah, but we're not picking you up on this side.
Yeah, so I'm not seeing your feed come through. I would suggest in the software turning your microphone off and just turn it back on again. Usually that fixes it for us. You want to come back to this in a second, and we can while he's troubleshooting.
Yeah, let's let Brad troubleshoot for a minute, and then we'll talk about Barber. Barber was I love Barber Motorsports Park. It's one of the most beautiful tracks, really. Forget about the North America, in the world. And it is a great place to race. It's great corners, great straightaways, great elevation changes. And we should have some of the best racing in the world at Barber. And what we had was a snooze. And, Alex Palou won the pole, dominant the entire race. Can't take it away from him. But even, there are very few other, the announcers tried to give it a go and make it seem like it was an exciting thing anytime there was an on-track pass. But we've gone from one of the most exciting series of racing in the world with on-track passes in the hundreds every race, on road courses certainly, and ovals as well. We've gone to that to something that just is not a attractive product at all, and it's heartbreaking because we all love IndyCar. We want it to do well, but this hybrid system has not. And again, I don't know. You say, well, how do you know it's the hybrid system? All I know is from Mid-Ohio through now, last year, the racing has been less than exciting, and that I believe is largely because of the hybrid system that has added, 100 or plus pounds to the chassis, has changed the center of gravity, has put us in a place that we're not really. All right, well, let's try it again. Let's see what happens.
How about now? Anything?
Hey, we're
all right. Sorry about that.
It happens sometimes. That's okay. How are you, Brad?
I'm doing well. How you doing, Will?
I haven't seen you forever.
It's been a little while. Yeah.
Seems like that. So I want you to tell the folks. I told her you're a racer at heart. You've been racing for many years. Give us the quick backstory of Brad and Brad's racing career. Tell us about Brad Hayes Racing, and then tell us about the movement toward the Kenyon Series.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I guess it started just as a child. My dad and I would go to races every weekend. So started out as a fan, always loved racing, always loved being around the cars. It was always short track oval stuff here in Central Indiana. I guess jumping ahead a while, in probably high school, middle school time, I got involved with toy cars, radio control cars and slot cars and all that kind of stuff. And just loved racing that as well. Anything racing I could get my hands on to do, I would love to do. So so I never really had a chance to get involved deeply in the oval scene as a younger guy. But later in life, I ran into some friends who were into Formula Ford racing. Was able to get into one of their cars and do my driver's school, and got through SCCA driver's school and started racing those cars. That was about 2007, something like that, is when I actually started racing myself. That, spiraled out of control pretty quickly, I guess. Before I knew it, I had a couple of cars. We were running, Formula Continental as well, F2000 car with a friend, Sam Mudd, that was here locally that I was good friends with. Actually, a friend from the RC racing days. So did that for a few years. And then I sort of took a little bit of a hiatus. I moved out to California, had a job opportunity that looked like it was worth taking. So did the move, was working nonstop, had no time to do any hobbies or racing or anything like that. So really kind of put that on the back burner for a few years. Then I guess the next turning point was when the SCCA announced they were going to do the runoffs at Indianapolis, at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in 2017. So I'm like, okay, I got to get a Formula Ford again. Like, as a kid growing up in Central Indiana, like, dream would always be to race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So even though it's not the Indy 500, just a chance of getting to race there was enough that found the time, found the way, got involved with Formula Fords again. Had some really good help out in California. Doug Learned Jr. and Doug Learned Sr., they built the Piper chassis. So I bought a car from them, ran that first year, got qualified, came out to the runoffs, did okay. But hey, got to race at the Speedway. So that was a cool bucket list item. And then the next year ended up buying a second car off of them and met a kid named Nicky Hayes, no relation, last name spelled differently, but really fast karting, young kid from Southern California that had kind of hung out at some of the races, and we'd crossed paths a couple times. And I said, he was getting to that age where it's time to try something beyond karting, right? So we took him to Laguna Seca and put him in the Formula Ford car, and he was on pace like immediately. That was the first time he'd really driven anything besides a kart. And you could just tell he had talent, right? So, from there, that really sort of sparked my interest in the driver development side of things, working sort of more behind the scenes. Like, I knew I wasn't the greatest driver. I was an okay driver, but, I got more enjoyment out of helping somebody else go really fast than helping myself go sort of fast. So that was kind of how we got into the driver development sort of side of it. From there, we ran Nicky for a year. He's gone on and done some cool stuff, ran USF 2000, ran F4 in Europe for a while, has done some endurance racing, road racing, GT cars, all kinds of stuff. Courtney Crone's another one that jumped in our Formula Ford out in California. Courtney's done a wide range of things from, short track speedway motorcycles to midgets and sprint cars to she's in the F1 Academy now. So
we tested before anybody had heard of Courtney Crone. We tested Courtney in the USF 2000.
That's right. I forgot about that.
And the other thing, I was at the runoffs in 2017 before we had met.
Yeah.
And then we came back and we helped Simon Sykes debut at Indianapolis in 2020 in the USF 2000.
Yeah, very cool.
So we had some path crossing there.
Yeah, for sure.
How did the Kenyon think of? I mean, you've got Brad Hayes Racing. You're doing your thing.
And
I was so surprised when in a good way. But I was so surprised. I didn't know. To buy a series is like really. I mean, it's something. How did that all happen?
It wasn't really in the plans necessarily. Just So we moved back. My wife and I decided it was time to get back to Indiana, get back to home, be close to family. So we moved back here to Central Indiana in 2019. Still had the Formula cars. Had talked to a young driver named Ayrton Hauk a little
Yeah.
bit about getting him some laps
You know where
in a Formula Ford. He was also starting to run in the Kenyon Midget Series in a car that Don and Mel Kenyon prepared.
Mhm.
So he was basically renting a car from them, running in the Kenyon Midget Series. We ran him in a couple of Formula Ford and F1600 races in our Pipers. And then the next year, we're like, look, we got along really well. He wants to be an IndyCar driver. That's his goal, right? As a kid, like my heroes were guys like Rich Vogler, who were the short track guys, but also got to race at Indianapolis, right?
Sure.
They found a way to do it. And I was
Mhm.
like, man, wouldn't it be cool to somehow see where a guy like Mel Kenyon, right? That's what they did. See a young driver be able to do that again, get from the local short track scene and maybe someday make it to Indianapolis. So we're like, hey, let's put Ayrton in our Formula Ford, but let's also buy one of these Kenyon midgets, and we'll build up the team effort a little bit more. Have the same sort of communication, whether it's on the oval track or whether it's on the road racing. He's working with us. He's working with the same people all the time. We can sort of leverage his sponsors across both. We can try to get him the rear engine Formula car road racing experience plus the short track, open wheel, circle track stuff, right? So that was a really cool season to do both of those. It was really successful. He won the championship in the Kenyon Midget Series that year. I think we also, had some good runs in the Formula Ford car. We set a track record at Mid-Ohio. So really, really cool season. But as we worked through that season, I got to work a little bit closer with Mel and Don Kenyon. I saw that the series was a great little series. The costs were controlled. The cars were all really equal. It was a great stepping stone for drivers that were coming up out of karting or quarter midgets or whatever. But I mean, Don and Mel are at that point were in their upper 80s, early 90s, right? They're not sort of at a stage where they're really pushing that series anymore. They were sort of still doing it, and they still loved it, and they still loved being a part of it, but they weren't pushing for it to grow necessarily. And I thought there's a great opportunity for this series to do more than it was doing. Also, I'd hate to see like their legacy end when they decided to stop running that series, right? Like, how can we keep this going and keep their legacy sort of going? So I think the first time I asked Don sort of what his plans were for the series in long term, because I'd seen Mel made some comment on an interview he had done online about maybe selling the series at some point. And so I asked Don, and he's like, "Oh no, we're gonna keep doing it forever," And at that point, he didn't really know me that well, and so I just kind of let it drop. And then I was back at his shop probably 2 or 3 months later, picking up tires or parts or something, and just out of the blue, he's like, "You want to buy a series? I'll sell you the whole thing." I'm like, "What?" Kind of caught me off guard. So I was like, "Huh." I came back, talked to my wife, Nan. She's been super supportive in anything that we've wanted to do. And it was just a very unique opportunity. Something that, those are two guys, Don and Mel Kenyon, that you can talk to anybody. And I don't think there's a single person has a bad word to say about those two guys.
Yeah. Solid gold. Yeah.
And so, they built something that had a solid reputation. Nobody was they might be mad that I was taking it over, but they weren't going to be, mad at me running a series that they'd been burnt by Don and Mel at some point in the past or whatever. That wasn't going to be the case.
Sure.
So, we agreed to basically take over the series from them. With their help, of course, they're still involved. They're still around. They still come to the races. Not every race anymore, but they come to some of the races.
Sure.
They still build parts for us. They still work in their shop and do some stuff for us too.
So what kind of car? What kind of chassis are they?
So they are a specific chassis that Don Kenyon builds. He's built these chassis for a number of years now, but they're all the same. So every chassis is the same. Dimensionally, they're the same as a regular full-size midget.
Okay.
The difference is like I said, they're all the same. If you're running this series, you're running that chassis. You can't go buy a different brand chassis.
Right.
And it's based around a 1200cc Yamaha motorcycle engine. So instead of a $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, Stanton, Toyota, whatever the hot national midget engine is these days, it's a $4,000 or $5,000 engine, right? So that keeps the cost down. The engines are sealed. They're all produced by the same engine builder. So everybody's got the same horsepower. They're all within a couple horsepower of each other.
Who does the engines, Brad?
Scott, who is down in North Carolina. He's built these engines for a long time for Legends cars. Hank's got a cool story too. He was one of the guys back in the day that ran the AMA motorcycles on the flat tracks, like at the Indy Mile, and was winning big races. His son has run some USAC stuff in the past, so they've got a long racing history, and they've supported this series from the very beginning and continue to do so. So that's a great piece of it as well. We basically, I don't love spec series necessarily. So I like to say it's a semi-spec series. We make sure that the things that drive cost and keep the competition equal are spec. The chassis are the same, the engines are the same, the tires are the same. Those sorts of things we have some control over. The guys can do their own setup work on the cars. They can change springs. They can change valving and shocks. They can, change their gearing, do that kind of stuff. You can go buy sort of standard off-the-shelf midget components. You don't have to buy everything directly from us. We try to stock the standard parts that people need. But if you can go buy a used rear end that somebody's been running on a national car and save yourself some money, as long as it's the right specs.
Right,
fine.
right.
So,
but I don't know. I think for what you're doing and what the drivers are trying to accomplish, I think it's the perfect series. I'm not a big spec fan, series fan myself, but I just feel like for that level of racing at an entry point, it's good because now we're seeing really what the drivers can do.
Yeah.
And it's not one driver that's a mediocre driver, but got a killer chassis and engine,
right.
Beating up on the field. And really, when you put them in the same cars, they're not quite that good. I think it's wonderful.
The other thing we do that's a little bit unique, I think, is so that there's two sides of the business for me. There's the series that's sanctioned under the United States Speed Association. That's what runs the Kenyon Midget Series. Then there's Brad Hayes Racing, which is a race team and parts supplier and things like that nature. Under our Brad Hayes Racing umbrella, we also provide rental cars for the series. So drivers can come and rent a car from us. Some people say, oh, isn't that a conflict of interest? And I could see that. We try really hard to be super transparent. Everything we do on our rental cars, we share. We post all of our setup sheets on our webpage. So all the drivers that come into the series and buy their own car or are running with another team, they know exactly what we're doing. We have an open book. Come by the pits at the night of the track. If we're changing something, different from what's on our setup sheet, it's not a secret. Come and ask us. If your car is pushing in the center of turn 2 at the speedrome, maybe we have some ideas that can help you.
Sure.
The guys that help us with the cars, Tony and Dustin Fox, and a couple other guys that are helping us out. They're really good about trying to help the other teams as well. And that's sort of rubbed off on the other teams also. You see the other teams all helping each other. So it's been a really good atmosphere.
That's a great way to break in as a young driver. I mean, who wants to go to Formula One and your first stop and with the vicious competition?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. One of the first people that sent me a message when I first took this over and started doing what we're doing with sharing all the setup sheets and everything was Kyle O'Gara. Ran in the series many years ago.
Sure,
has run Indy Lights, is a top-notch sprint car driver now. Kyle sent me a message that, hey, this is awesome. I sure wish somebody was doing that when we started this series because we had to buy a car, we had to figure it out. People weren't necessarily sharing. Don and Mel obviously would help people out whenever they needed something done, but it wasn't quite as open as transparent as what we're trying to do now.
So what tracks are you at now? What tracks are you running at?
So we've got a really nice relationship with the 500 Sprint Car Tour. So we run a lot of races alongside them. So we run Anderson Speedway. We'll go to Salem Speedway where the sprint cars will run on the half mile. There's a quarter mile on the infield. So the same night we'll run the quarter mile. The sprint cars run the half mile. We'll go to Berlin in Michigan. This year we're going to Owasso in Michigan, which is another new track for us. Kalamazoo, the Speedrome in Indianapolis, which is actually where this series first got its start. There's a huge history of midget racing at the Speedrome, so it's cool to be part of that and bringing that back there. We're running Sportsdrome, which is in southern Indiana. We try to run a fairly balanced mix of dirt and pavement. This year our schedule is skewed towards the pavement for sure, but we have a dirt race coming up May 31st at Paragon Speedway. So it's also a chance for these drivers to get the opportunity to try both dirt and pavement with the same car. The way the rules are set, you can't have. I mean, you could technically have a second car and run dirt and pavement, but the chassis are the same. The setups are the basic car is the same. So there's not an advantage to have a dirt specific build car. It's a nice range of tracks from the 5th mile flat boring at the Speedrome to a high banked quarter mile at Anderson to a really big fast sweeping almost half mile track at Berlin. So
how many races in the series, Brad?
So we've got 13 races this year. That's been a pretty good sweet spot for us. We try not to make it so, if you have 30 races, then, people can't do anything else with their life. Right. a lot of our drivers are still doing some karting at a high level, or they're, running some other series as well, or just family wants to go on vacation or something, right? So we try to make it not be too heavy of a schedule, but enough races that it keeps them interested, right? So we've had 3 races already so far this year. We've got a little bit of a break here in May just because there's so much other stuff going on in May in Indianapolis, and for us personally with our sprint car team and stuff like that. So
how many drivers in the series?
So we've had, I think, 16 and 17 at the first 3 races. We've got another driver that was injured at the end of the year last year that's still rehabbing a little bit, but is going to be back here in a couple races. And we've got a couple others that just missed the first couple races that we expect back. So I think for the most part this season we'll probably average 17, 18. Maybe we'll get 19 or 20 at a couple races, which is the most this series has seen in the last several years. So
and where are they coming from? Are they coming from karting, or where are you getting these drivers primarily coming from?
I mean, some are coming from karting. A big number of them are coming from karting. A few are coming from quarter midgets. We talk a lot about the young drivers, but it's also a great place for drivers that raced in their past and maybe had to stop racing for a while and had a family. Yeah. They're a little bit older and they still want to go racing. So we've got a couple guys that are running with us that are more veteran guys. But the same premises apply, right? They can go racing, they can be competitive, they don't have to spend a fortune. So it's quite a range of where everybody's coming from.
Well, I'd like to take you up on that, Brad. I don't think I can get in the car. I maybe get in the car. I couldn't get out of the car. You have to use an engine hoist. What age? What do you think? What's an average age for your drivers?
Most of them are late teens, early 20s. Our rule book says as young as 12. We're pretty careful about anybody that young. If they're 12 or 13, we say, hey, look, we need to make sure you've got some experience, you're mature enough. Come out and do a test before a race day so we can see that you can handle the cars.
Is there a sanctioning body?
So the USSA is our sanctioning body, which we control. That was what Don and his team had set up to run the Kenyon Series. At one point, it was run under USAC, and then sort of split off from USAC and set up their own sanctioning body to run it. So, so that's how the sanctioning is handled. So we control all the insurance and all the sort of purse payouts and all that stuff comes through the USSA.
So how much lead time? Let's say I've got a young aspiring driver really interested in open wheel, wants to do dirt pavement. How much of a lead time do I have to contact you to get him in the next year's series?
I mean, so what we typically do is at the end of the year, there's 2 things we do toward about the end of the year. We try to give our series champion an opportunity to try out a sprint car as well. So on our BHR side of the business, we own a sprint car and a Silver Crown car that we run with another partner. And we try to give, if this driver is looking to move up into sprint cars, we want to give them the opportunity to at least get out and do a test. So usually in October, after our season is over, we'll take our Kenyon Midget Series champion and we'll put him in the sprint car. And on the same day, we'll take prospective drivers for the Midget Series that might be coming from karting or whatever, and we'll do a test for them as well. So usually in that October timeframe, we'll do a test. The last couple of years, we've done that at Anderson Speedway. And that gives the drivers that are thinking about running next year a chance to try it out, make sure that's what they want to do, make sure that they gel well with us as well. Like, we want this to be fun. We want to make sure like the people that are coming into our team fit well with our team, and we're all going to enjoy working together.
So I've got my young racer. I don't have a car. I need to rent one of your cars. What's a ballpark for the season?
It's probably, the rental itself is $800 a race. That's what we charge to rent the car. And then we charge tires on top of that. So that's minus whatever your tires are, because tires vary depending on what race. You might be on a cycle where you're running tires for a second race, or you might be putting new tires on. So we build out the tires separately. And that's the cost to come race with us.
Really? Wow. That's
you have to cover your own damages. If you tear it up, you got to pay for it. But these cars are fairly inexpensive. Even damages are fairly reasonable.
Wow.
If you're buying all the tires and you're wanting to run the full season and you're really going for a championship, I have to go back and look at my numbers. I think it was maybe in the $12,000 to $15,000 range.
That's fantastic.
For a whole season.
Gosh, that's amazing.
And I mean, you're getting pretty cool exposure too with the 500 Sprint Car Tour side of it. You're running in front of some big crowds. You're getting those drivers and those teams to see what you're doing. You're getting live streaming. We've got, I think, 6, I think, that are being live streamed on Dirt Vision this year, which is the same same system that, streams all the World of Outlaws races, all the 500 Sprint Car Tour races.
Mm-hmm.
We've got one on Flow. We're running with the USAC Silver Crown at Salem this year.
Mm-hmm.
So that race will be streamed on Flow. The Speedrome has their own streaming through Speed Sport, which I know you're a big partner with Speed Sport. So we got a couple of races on their platform. So all but I think 2 or 3 of our races this year will be live streamed on some sort of a major platform that people can see. So that's a good way for these people to get some exposure as well. And
you're doing such a great job. I'm so excited for you. And I almost came to a race last year with Ben.
I know.
But I'm going to do my best to at least get out to one of your events this year.
Let's try to get you out. Let us know when you want to come, and we'll make sure you get in.
And I'll buy you a cup of coffee. Hey, if they want more information, what's the best way? Website? How we get a hold of this?
Yeah, so the series website is KenyonMidgets.com, Instagram, Kenyon Midgets, Facebook, all the normal places.
Okay.
Just reach out through that, or Brad Hayes Racing, same thing, bradhayesracing.com.
Okay.
You can email through either one of those. It'll come to me, and we'll try to help you out.
All right. Hey, Brad, thanks for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks,
Brad Hayes, everybody. We'll have you back on maybe toward the latter part of the season. Thanks so much.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. We're going to do a quick promo now with Speed Sport, and then Megan Meyer going to be joining us, 2-time NHRA champ and master social media marketer extraordinaire. We'll be right back.
The month of May is all about racing, and Speed Sport 1 is the place to get it 24/7. On Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, relive the ASA Stars National Tour Appalachian Sucker Punch 250 from Dominion Raceway. Thursday night, we'll have new episodes of Prime Cuts starting at 6 p.m., followed by an encore replay of the Trans Am Series from Laguna Seca. All day Friday, it's all about sprint cars. It's free to watch. Go to speedsport1.com for details and viewing options.
Welcome back, everybody. Pits are open. Listen, again, I want to say we're switching to a new YouTube channel next week. So if you're on the Pits are Open right now, please go to Pits are Open Podcast. That's the handle for the new YouTube channel. A much better channel, much more updated, and we're going to really enjoy it. But go there, subscribe now, and whatever platform you're on, like, comment, share. If you're listening on Spotify, thanks so much. We love you guys. And thank you. So we got all these young drivers come into racing. We got kart drivers, we got Kenyon Midget Series drivers, and all these folks coming in for the first time. How do they get developed? How do people know about them? How do you find out? How do you get discovered? We've got somebody now that can help with this. She is fantastic, fantastic racer, 2-time NHRA champion, and has developed a really great company for purposes of marketing. And so, second time, I'm so happy to have Megan Meyer come. Megan, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me back on, Will.
Thank you so much. I know it was a little bit of a hard appointment for you, so we're going to get you out of here on time. First of all, you told me the last time you were on, you were going to some kind of shootout, some kind of alcohol shootout. How did you do?
Well, that is this weekend. So,
that's this weekend. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, where is it?
I'm leaving tomorrow. So, I mean, hopefully I can report back as a winner.
Okay, yeah. Good. How are you feeling about it?
I'm feeling pretty good. So, I feel like, the people I'm racing with, they have been, racing with the NHRA. There've been 5-6 races this year so far. And for me, it's been about 2 years since I have been in a competitive drag race. And so, I kind of feel like I'm a little behind, but at the same time, I've been practicing, I've been training. I know what to do to kind of get back in that mindset. Right. So I feel like it's going to be, like riding a bike. I'm just going to hop back in the car, put my helmet on, and everything's just going to be all natural and like I never left.
Wow, I didn't realize it was this weekend. I thought it was already happening. I mean, you've got such a pedigree with your racing family and your racing career. First of all, what's it like to go 285 miles an hour? Can you tell you're going that fast? I mean, it's like I've never been that fast. What is it like?
Yeah, it's so cool. So there's 2 scenarios. Either the car is just, very smooth and you just going straight, going to the finish line, or it's like it's trying as hard as it can, and you can tell like it's just giving its all. So there's like 2 different scenarios, and you never know how fast you're gonna go till you get to the very end. But what's funny is, and I actually had a conversation with someone about this last week, is it feels slower than what you're actually doing. Like your mind can't physically go that fast. So like our runs are only 5 seconds, but it feels like it takes 10, 15 seconds to get to the finish line. And so yeah, it's so much fun. It's like you know, like the best thing I can compare it to is if you're on a roller coaster and right before the roller coaster takes off, like when you're just right at the peak, or if it's one where you're just kind of like, you know, you're right there where you get your seatbelts on and then it shoots off. Like, think of that, but times 10. That's what it feels like.
And you never forget to pull the chute, right? That's something that's automatic, or you just kind of.
It's not automatic, but
maybe for muscle memory, you know, that you have to pull the chute, right?
yes. No, I have to pull the chutes. And NHRA does have a like safety, like a barrier. So if it does not happen, you know, like if the driver does not pull the lever to get the parachutes out, then NHRA does have a switch that they can do that can pull the parachutes for you.
Do you feel when it runs over, you pull the chute? Is there a like a reverse G to that? I mean, are you feeling like you just dropped the anchor?
Yes. So we go from 3 to 4 Gs launching off the starting line.
Right.
5 seconds later, it's negative 3 to 4 Gs when you pull the parachutes.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it was that much. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell. Is it being live streamed, or how can we watch the competition this week with you?
There is no live stream. There is no coverage, unfortunately.
Oh.
And because this is not considered an NHRA race, there's not going to be any coverage that way. But we will be posting on our social media pages as frequently as possible for the next couple of days. And then we also came out with a Facebook group where our fans can go to. It's called Team RMR. And I'm planning on doing live videos in there. You know, right after the run, I'll go live on Facebook. Also, when we're in the pits, see if my dad could, you know, add some insight of what he's doing for the tune-up and that type of stuff. So
that's that's great content opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Good. That's exciting. Well, I'll be watching for you on Instagram, and it's what Team RMR
for Randy Meyer Racing.
Okay. So Team RMR for your Facebook group. That'll be cool. So I just had Brett Hayes on, a good friend from Indiana, and he has a series. It's a Kenyan midget series, and developed by two, you know, long-term, you know, open wheel Indy kind of guys. And so he's got all these young drivers coming in. You know, it's anywhere from, you know, 14 to 15 and up to the early 20s. And for a lot of them, it's really their first or second experience in kind of a series. A lot of them come out of a kart experience or something. How do these guys, and walk us through, Megan, walk us through the process of how do you start structuring yourself so that you start getting recognized, noticed, you know, building your media platform? How do you do that?
Yeah, good question. And I actually get approached by quite a few parents of, you know, how they could do this, especially coming from the drag racing world where we have junior dragster racers, and I was one myself as well. And so, you know, the very first thing and the easiest thing that you could do is social media. It's a free platform. It's not like you have to pay to be on there. So it's free and open to the public. And one thing I do say with parents, because sometimes they do get concerned about putting too much of their kid out there online. So it's just always, hey, you know, whatever you are comfortable with, whatever son or daughter is comfortable with, you know, as far as being on camera, if they want to talk to the camera or not, stuff like that. But if they do see their career down the road, you know, 5-10 years later, if they want to continue to be in racing and work towards being a professional driver, then yeah, they are going to have to get comfortable with being on the camera and doing interviews and getting pictures taken and videos and all that type of stuff. So if you can start when you're really young, you'll get very comfortable with it, and you'll kind of have that advantage over people, you know, when they are older and get into racing. And so for myself, I got started when I was 10 years old, but back then social media really wasn't a thing. Now I'm one of the old people, I feel
Oh my
like, that I
gosh.
race. But yeah, so didn't start really using social media till I was in high school. And yeah, I was just an early adopter to it. My dad was one that was very hesitant about being on it. He thought, oh, it's just a game you're playing or something like that. Like there's not going to be any value to it. And there's still some people out there to this day that we race with that kind of have that same mentality. But there are also people that aren't really looking to get discovered or looking for sponsorships. They're usually self-funded and they don't really need that exposure.
Right.
Whereas if you're someone who is trying to get your own sponsorship money and funding so that way you can keep racing, that's usually the number one thing is getting on social media. And so the more frequently you can use it, the better you will get at it. And you also want to develop your style. So everyone needs to be different when it comes to being online because you don't want to blend in, especially if you're someone that is trying to get as much exposure for sponsorships. You want to stand out. You don't want to blend in. So think of big names like, there's Cletus McFarlane, there's Ken Block. Like think of how they were able to differentiate themselves from everybody else that's out there. And on social media, there's content everywhere and everyone has their own pages. It's completely different than it was 5 years ago. It's a lot harder to grow and get seen on social media now, so you really got to stand out from everybody else.
Well, and I think you have to be careful too because as you're developing, I mean, you are your brand, and you don't ever want to get out there in a place where because there's such a long record of your social media, it's not easy to. I mean, you could obviously go and delete things, but a lot of times other people have already seen it and it's out there. So you want to be careful what you're putting out there. I know it's important to differentiate yourself, but you have to have some wisdom on
Yes.
what it is you're throwing out there, right?
Yes, yeah, for sure. And what's funny is if you look hard enough on Google, you could find some of my old high school pictures. And there's nothing bad out there, but it's just like, oh, it's not a great picture of me or whatever, stuff like that. But yeah, it's like I cannot take those down. That's posted on a platform that I don't have a login for it anymore. I don't know how it still exists. And so yeah, so you never know. Anything you put on the internet in some shape or form, it will be there forever. And so yeah, so just always be mindful and be careful. And especially if it is someone that is a female, because there's kind of, there's different paths you could go down, and just be mindful of what image and what brand you want to portray with sponsors, because, companies do take that into consideration, especially if they are a conservative or religious or family oriented company. They want someone that will represent their brand accurately.
Right. No, and I'm so grateful that I grew up without any of that stuff because there's no evidence now left.
Right.
You can't find me vandalizing anything. There's no pictures of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't really bad, but given the right camera and wrong situation, it could have been ugly. That's good. So, I mean, you use Instagram a lot. I like Instagram. Is that if I'm starting out, is that your social media platform of choice, do you think, or first recommendation is Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram, or TikTok, I would say, depending on, with either one of them, you just need to put out a ton of videos, to be able to grow and get seen on there. It also kind of depends on your goals. So if you are someone that is, trying to reach the younger demographic, especially if it is someone that is a younger racer, Instagram and TikTok is a great place to start. For me personally, Facebook is my strongest. It's my best one.
Yeah, me too. I don't know how it happened.
Yeah. Well, and I've been able to, I built it up really big, in the past, and thankfully I was able to do that in the beginning when it was easier than it is now. It is a lot harder now to grow a Facebook page than it used to be, but also another one to think of is LinkedIn.
Oh,
And especially with racers, they usually overlook LinkedIn because they think like, oh, it's just business. But that is how you can find the correct people and contact information for potential
well, that's
sponsors.
who your sponsors are, right? I just said this to Alex a little while ago. We were getting ready. I said, I don't know why I mess around with Facebook, Instagram, because really all I need is sponsors. And so LinkedIn is where
Yeah.
I get them. I mean, that's where I find
Mhm.
them. I mean, they might be on Facebook, they might be on Instagram, but it's a business site, and so we use LinkedIn a lot, and
Mhm.
I'm glad it exists because it's very
Yeah.
valuable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
So when you're trying to approach sponsors, right? And you're just starting out and you don't have a lot of history and your social media is kind of, it's not great, but it's out there, right? Um, how do you start approaching people that you're trying to get to sponsor you? How do you start generating those first, 3 or 4 sponsors?
Yeah, good question. So I go into depth on this in my coaching program that's called Field and Funded, and it will actually be opening up in June. So if there are any racers here that do want some more help with
Is it
how
like
to
a regular class that you can
yes,
take? Oh,
yep,
okay. Now
that
is
it is.
information available on that, of motorsportsmarketingtips.com? Is there information there about that upcoming group?
Yes, yeah, if you go to that website and then, look up the Field and Funded program, it will take you to, right now you can just sign up for the wait list.
Okay.
But yeah, so enrollment for that opens up in June, and we do live, Zoom classes for
Oh,
that. And so, yeah, so I go through the entire sponsorship process of how to get a sponsor. So, first thing I teach is you need to be on LinkedIn, you need to create your profile, and then from there, what I like to do is kind of a softer approach instead of just doing like cold emails or cold
yeah.
messaging and just immediately saying, "Hey, I have a race car team. We race in this area and we're looking for potential partners." Instead, I like to do it more personal and like a
Mhm.
softer approach. So I like to follow the rule of 7 in marketing. And so I want to give them 7 um notifications. So whether that's me liking a post or commenting on one of their posts, whether it is their personal post or the business that they
Mhm.
work for, if
Mhm.
the business page is active on LinkedIn there. So I like to do 7 first, so that way my name starts popping up on their
Mhm.
notifications. They're kind of, and seeing it multiple times, it will get familiar with my name. And then once I do the 7, I will then send them a message on LinkedIn, and it will just be very short and sweet, and something like, "Hey, I saw your company. They just came out with this product.
Mhm.
Um, I would love to try it out and learn some more information. Can we hop on a discovery call to learn more?" And so I'm not pitching them at all. I'm not saying, "Hey, I need a sponsor. I've got a race car," or anything like
Sure.
that.
Sure.
Instead, I like to keep it softer, more personal. I want to get to know them first and
Mhm.
learn more about the company. And
Mhm.
especially if it is a new product that I've never tried before, I want to make sure it's something that either would benefit me in my racing or something that I could promote that I would, like to use, whether it's in, lifestyle, personal life, business,
Mhm.
anything like that.
Mhm.
So get to know them more, the business, the product, that type of stuff. And then once you're comfortable with each other, then that's when I would go and pitch them and say, "Hey, I love using your product. It's helped me do this. I would love to be able to share that with my audience. Oh,
Mhm.
by the way, I've got this race car. We go to these events. It brings in this many
Right.
people,
Mhm.
or I have this many followers on social media. Can we work out a deal to help each other out?" And
Mhm.
that's how I like to approach it.
Good. I think that's wise. I'm amazed at how much resource you share on your website, write this down, guys, motorsportsmarketingtips.com. I've got pages that I printed off on the computer of different tips, mastering social activities, how racers maximize sponsorship ROI, what to think about for your sponsorship proposal. I mean, you're very generous with giving out a lot of this stuff right on the website, and I think people should avail themselves of that. And the group that's coming up, tell us about that again one more time. When is that going to start?
Yes, so that's going to start in June, mid to beginning of June, and it's called Fueled and Funded. So you can also go to fueledandfunded.com, and then right now you can sign up for the waitlist. If you do join the waitlist, you get an early bird discount as well when the group opens up. And it is, in the past, I did it as just a 9-week program, but this year I'm changing it to where it's going to be all year long. And so it's just a monthly subscription that you can do. So we're lowering the price and extending the length of it. And we will meet twice a month on Zoom live. And then there's also a Facebook group that goes along with that. So you can ask your questions anytime. And there's alumni in there that have gone through the program, and they've been very successful. And the thing that I love the most is that I've been able to help out racers in every single type of motorsports, from sim racing to road course to, of course, drag racing, dirt, and off-road racing, that type of stuff, and also all across the world as well. So from the States to Canada to Ireland to Australia, I've been able to meet so many amazing people and build friendships with them. And then we all get together at the PRI show. We do our own private happy hour, and it's so much fun.
Good. So I mean, not that I was going to say typical. Maybe that's not a good word, but so who would this be for? Who's the best people to sign up for this that would get the most value out of it and help from you?
Yeah, good question. So I like to have racers that have just a little bit of sponsorship experience. And it could be, product only, or someone that's just got like a discount from a company before. Just someone that kind of understands, hey, this is the overall, like, how a sponsorship works. And but also someone that wants to step up, someone that is looking to do it long term, not someone that's just, hey, I'm just racing for fun and I need to just cover my entry fee. I want someone that's going to be serious down the road. They want to be a professional, but they're not to that level yet.
Okay. And what do you give me a span of ages, do you suppose? How young, how old?
Yeah, all different ages. So quite a few parents for kids in there. A lot of junior drag racers are in there. And then as far as the oldest, I'm not sure exactly on ages, but I've got, I don't know, probably a span of 50 years between youngest and oldest. So
that's good. That's big. Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive. Well, listen, I know you're on a tight schedule. I know you're leaving for the track tomorrow. We want to wish you the best. We'll be praying for you. We'll be looking for your social media. And thank you for coming back. And we are gonna put that all women show on here pretty quick. We have to coordinate with the other driver that I was trying to get, and it'll work out for us. But I'll give you more warning next time. So
awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Megan Meyer. Thank you so much. Good Godspeed, good luck, and don't forget to pull the chute. All right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me back on.
Right.
Appreciate
Thanks so much. Thank you, Megan Meyer, everybody. All right, hey, that's it. Pits are open. Now we're gonna close them. I don't know. It seemed funny at the time. Good show. I think a great segue for Megan, because this is the kind of people Brad's bringing in. Brad's bringing in people with no experience, no exposure for the most part, younger drivers, and so if you're part of Brad's network, look up Megan Meyer. Motorsportsmarketingtips.com, speedsport.com, redlineace.com, thepitsareopen.com. What else could you do? MaratiAutosport.com. Any.com. We'd love to do that. But anyway, hey, thank you so much. We got a great show for you next week. Got some really good guests coming on next week. You're going to like it. We got a driver coming on next week. Two drivers, actually. A current driver, and then a longer competition driver who's gone from driver to instructor and got his own show. It's going to be a great show. So sign up for our newsletter, please. It costs nothing. We come out once a week. You get it. You go to thepitsareopen.com. Go right now. Go on your phone, thepitsareopen.com, And then right at the top, there's a sign up for the thing. You sign up. You have to hit a "I'm not a robot" thing, and this thing goes around, and then finally comes up to our Pits Are Open newsletter. All we need is your name and your email. We're not looking for anything else. That's all we need, and that'll keep you in contact with us. And if we have anything big coming up, we're certainly going to announce it on the newsletter as well, whether it's about racing or about the show. So, Alex, thank you so much. Good job as always.
You're welcome.
You guys, we appreciate you, and whatever platform you're on, like, comment, share. Again, we're coming out with a new YouTube channel next week, and the handle is going to be the Pits Are Open Podcast. That's the new YouTube channel. You can go there now. I'm pretty sure you can subscribe. We'll be broadcasting on both of those. I think next week we're going to duel it next week, and then eventually in a few months we're going to go exclusively to YouTube. So we'll want all you Facebook folks, if you will, and we'll communicate this in the newsletter as well. That's why it's important for all of you to sign up for the newsletter. Again, pitsareopen.com, sign up for the newsletter. Thank you. Hey, have a great rest of your week. God bless you. We IndyCar race coming up, the GP on Saturday, Indy Grand Prix, Sensio Grand Prix. Going to be a good day. Weather's looking good, and we'll do a wrap up next week about that as well. All right. Hey, thanks a lot. We love you guys. See you next week.